Alright, welcome back everyone, it is LaughNgamez here, and you are back pretty much on the AlphaStar channel at this point. It is time, as you may have guessed, to cast some more of this robot playing Starcraft 2. So what we've got is a Terran versus Zerg, this time AlphaStar taking on a Grandmaster Zerg, which should be a fun match for us to watch here. AlphaStar, for those of you unaware, go watch like any of the past 4 videos I've put up, but it's basically just a high-level AI that learns from deep learning. It's not just scripted or anything like that. It actually plays like a human, so it's kind of one of the first steps towards artificial intelligence, playing video games anyway. But yeah, should be a fun match here. A GM Terran versus Zerg, and AlphaStar, I mean, it's shown that it can play StarCraft 2 pretty darn well while also being a little quirky though, so should be a good match here between the two of these players. And of course, if you enjoy these AlphaStar commentaries, I'm gonna say it, press that like button, as it shows like I'm doing more of these because you guys have been liking them. So yeah, let's try and break like 50 likes on this AlphaStar video, and I'll do another. How about that? And anyway, thanks so much to everyone for tuning on in. And of course, if you're new to the channel, press that subscribe button. As I'm just kind of rambling here while the game is going to be starting off, as every StarCraft 2 game starts with a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit of a calm before the storm, in a sense. Now we've got AlphaStar going to be going for a Reaper, and then just going to be going into, or for the GM Zerg player, going to be getting up a spawning pool, going to be getting everything else up. Yeah, I'm excited to see a Terran versus Zerg for AlphaStar. I mean, it plays all matchups, all races, but as far as the TVZ meta, it's going to be interesting to see which sort of style it's going to play. As we all know, there's a lot of ways to go about playing a Terran versus Zerg. So far, it hasn't 2-raxed or anything like that, but you never know. We've got AlphaStar, or not AlphaStar, the GM Zerg player, pardon me, just playing pretty normal. I mean, the human's going to play more to what you expect normally. It's actually the robot, oddly enough, who's probably going to be the one doing a little bit of quirky stuff here. Reaper runs on in. AlphaStar going to start microing that back. Going to try and focus down that Ling. It's really cool, the fact that the AI is making that... Oh, never mind. I was going to say, it's really cool, the fact that the AI is making the choice to try and hunt down a Ling, that decision-making, but apparently AlphaStar needs to work on its Reaper micro a little bit. We'll see if it will make a second Reaper. AlphaStar is known to do that every now and then, in which it, in one of the previous games I casted, it lost its Reaper. It's like, right, the answer to that is to build another one, clearly. So now we just take a look here. A third command center on the way for AlphaStar, so really going to be macroing on up here, making Hellions. It's getting a tech lab on the way, so really just playing the meta here in StarCraft 2. And then third base on the way for the Zerg, so the Zerg just happily droning up as the Zerg. Once you kill the Terran's first Reaper, you're like, right, I'm set. Meanwhile, the Zerg just now moving out on the map with his Lings. He doesn't have to defend versus a Reaper or anything like that, so probably just gonna wait for an opportunity to maybe dive on in. AlphaStar is moving across the map with its 2 Hellions right away, so these Lings are going to be pretty much uncontested besides this one Marine. More Hellions and another Marine, though, are about to pop on out, so this Marine should be safe. AlphaStar going to try and focus down at that SCV, going to try and get the Marine, gets the SCV. Probably an alright trade there, but oh, we take a look at this right now. AlphaStar having to deal with some Hellion harassment, or actually, no, dishing out the Hellion harassment, pardon me. Pretty good drone micro from AlphaStar there. Interestingly enough, it didn't anticipate killing the Hellions, so it queued up a Spore Crawler after that. So yeah, pretty good micro. Oh, pardon me. I'm always getting confused here as I cast this. AlphaStar is the Terran that went for the harassment. Good micro from the Zerg player. AlphaStar going for a bunker. You can't scoff at that. A bunker, very, very good in TVZ. Hellions just sharking about for AlphaStar, so we'll see. Interestingly enough, one thing that I've noticed for AlphaStar is it's going for more Hellion harassment. By the way, this Zerg is woefully unprepared at the moment to deal with these Hellions, so drones having to be pulled versus these. The Queens really need to get on top of that. This GM player is losing a lot of drones right now to these Hellions of AlphaStar. AlphaStar getting off some really good harassment. picks off, oh man, that was no small number. 13 drones have died this game. Some real good damage. AlphaStar got up a third command center already, so just in a very good spot. Something interesting to note for AlphaStar is the way that it queues up its production. It's getting up an extra barracks after that. And then just going for its wall. It's got a starport, it's got an eBay, and its wall seems to wall pretty much the same way every game, more or less. It's setting up a tank. And then, yeah, we'll just take a look here. Lings are going to be going for a bit of a counterattack from this GM Zerg. And then, yeah, let's just see. Yeah, Ling's going to be getting on in here. These Lings getting on in here, going to be harassing the Terran. AlphaStar pulls some Marines in to react to these Lings, but they're quickly having to kite back as there's too many Lings there. The siege tank goes for some friendly fire, actually killing off a few of his own SCVs. But yeah, good harassment from the Grandmaster Zerg. They're going to be able to get a few SCVs, maybe even a supply depot as he's rallying in a few more Lings. Sometimes Zergs will just be like, huh, this attack is working, why not keep that going? Looks like AlphaStar, though, with these Marines, may be able to deal with this, but no, more Lings coming on in, so AlphaStar really taking a beating right now, has to wait for these other Marines to rally on out, taking a bit of harassment that it really shouldn't have. These Marines are enough now to repel this Zerg player, but as far as everything else goes, how's it looking for AlphaStar? I mean, if this happened in a normal game, you'd probably be like, oh, the Terran's not in a great spot or anything like that. But I mean, it did a lot of damage early on to the GM Zerg player, so the Zerg still recovering from that a little bit. AlphaStar got a pretty good supply, a good worker count compared to the Zerg. So nothing really to scoff at, and the fourth is just going up for the Zerg, so I'm not too worried for AlphaStar or anything. It is starting as +1 attack, no +2, no second eBay, I mean, coming on up, so it's just going for the 1 upgrade at the moment. But it will have a lot of Marines. It is going to have medivacs, a lot of Marines. It's going to have out a few siege tanks. It's actually moving across the map with just a handful of Marines right now. This is a little bold. We'll see if it's going to scan. It's actually just charging on in with these Marines. Banelings are starting to more. Creep is still spreading. But yeah, these Marines are just hanging on out here. I think they want to change their mind. You guys don't want to do this. Oh, they're doing an AlphaStar. What have you done? It just overstimmed its Marines to their death. It's like, all right, guys, good luck. Get on in there. Not a good move there from AlphaStar. Meanwhile, now AlphaStar going to be looking to go for some drops versus its opponent. It brought an SCV along for the drop. That's interesting. I wonder if it's going to build like a bunker or anything, or just keep this SCV chilling for now. But either way, we see these Marines are now going to be moving on in for AlphaStar. The Marines stim. The Zerg, though, has pulled back. He's really just trying to cover his ground, prevent the Terran getting too close to any of his vital bases or anything like that. But, oh, look at that. Ling's going for a counterattack. AlphaStar has parked its tanks on the high ground, but definitely some SCVs falling there. And let's see, a 4th base attempt from the Terran has been spotted, so AlphaStar, I mean, trying to make something happen, but so far I think this game is definitely going to be going the Zerg's way, I want to say. Technically, AlphaStar has got a pretty good supply, but as far as the effectiveness of it goes, I'm not too sure. Now, we take a look here. The GM Zerg needs to make sure he's firing up some units. He will have his 1-1 upgrades done here pretty darn soon, so that'll be nice for the Lingbane Muta. AlphaStar has to pull that medivac back as this is going on. But yeah, we do take a look. The Zerg player is going to be getting pushed a little bit here. I said that I think the Zerg's in a pretty good spot. That is if he can defend the next attack. This could actually be a little bit lethal for AlphaStar. The Zerg player doesn't actually have that much here to defend. How many Banelings are we looking at? Only 10 versus 4 siege tanks. No, 10 Hydralisks also are out here, but the Zerg player kind of just rallying on in. It does get pretty decent Baneling connections, but really needs something else. And oh no, Hydras for the Zerg player running on into AlphaStar's Marines there. AlphaStar making a good attack here. Picks off the 4th base of the Zerg. Meanwhile, it looks like there's a drop that is just getting cleaned on up. But yeah, a very good attack from the Zerg. AlphaStar just cut right on into the heart of the Zerg. Although AlphaStar did unsiege, the Zerg getting on in here is going to be able to pick off all 4 of the siege tanks. Getting all 4 of the tanks is nice for the Zerg. The Zerg player at this point, I think, probably wants to double expand. There we go, a second hatchery going on up if you lose a base. That's generally what you want to do in StarCraft 2. Meanwhile, AlphaStar is still just making Marines, making tanks. It's got the Terran fundamentals down, that's for sure. Make Marines, make tanks, stim them, send them at your enemy, and we'll see. Now also going to be going for another drop here with this repelled army. It's now elected to go into harassment tactics, but AlphaStar just using this one army to attack its opponent. I don't know if it's going to get too much done. Usually if there's just one form of harassment, it's not going to get too much done in the game of StarCraft 2. These Marines are stimmed. Lings are getting decent surface area on them, but these Marines are actually trading pretty darn well. Okay, look at that. Is AlphaStar going to lift up? Yes, it does. It's going to get away there with its Marines and everything. I'm going to retreat. Actually got a nice bit of damage done there. Cut up a lot of Marines, or cut up a lot of Zerglings, and now we see AlphaStar moving across the map, still building up supply. Its army supply is better than the Zergs, who is still just trying to get his economy going after taking some harassment. Also trying to deal with the continuous harassment from AlphaStar. We've got an army of Marines going to be moving on in here for the robotic Terran. So while this one harassment is being cleaned up, another one is underway. There are a lot of Banelings, but AlphaStar picking off those Banelings left and right. Now gonna probably want to lift up some of these Marines. It's gonna get out with a few. Oh no, it actually missed micros there. So loses the full army of Marines. I mean, the multi-prong harassment not really working out there. And we do take a look at this GM Zerg here. Building an Ultralist, getting up a Viper, reached Hive Tech essentially. So he's able to get up chitinous plating, get up adrenal glands. This is where Zerg units generally get a pretty darn big buff throughout the game, as they're a lot stronger, they're a lot more tanky. The Zerg has a lot more lethal tools, and we're going to see how AlphaStar approaches this game. So far, it's still just making tanks. It's getting up ship weapons, so really one of every armory upgrade so far, as it's got that plating, it's got that attack, and now it's getting the ship weapons. So maybe it's going to go into Liberators or something. For now, though, it's also got a second armory, interestingly enough. I just realized that. Going to be able to go for its +2 attack, +3 Terran weapons on the way. So AlphaStar approaching its upgrades in an interesting manner, but also getting up a 5th base, which is very important for the Terran. And AlphaStar is still doing a good job staying up on supply, multi-prong harassment, going down, keeping these medivacs alive. We're seeing some of that robotic micro. I mean, it's not perfect with the current limitations AlphaStar has, but it's definitely enough that it is getting some value. These Marines are stimming. AlphaStar seems to neglect creep a little bit, not bothered about killing off creep tumors. Drop down here, it looks like it was cleaned on up. Meanwhile, Vikings on the way, interestingly enough, from AlphaStar, making 2 Vikings. Maybe worried about, I mean, it's got to be Corruptors, right? But then also getting some Liberators as well. So we're going to see AlphaStar investing in the heavy siege tech here, as it's getting up more tanks, it's getting up Liberators. It's also going to have pretty good upgrades on its tanks and armory and starport units, as it's going to have +2 attack for the tanks and everything. It's going to be getting +2 plating, and it's already got +1 ship attack, so that's nice for AlphaStar. We're also seeing a scan go down from AlphaStar, getting up some of these creep tumors down anyway. Gonna pick off 1 or 2, gets a few, gonna have to lift on up, get on out of there. A few unfortunate Marines are left behind, but now we take a look. This Zerg is looking a little bit scary. AlphaStar, though, with a Widowmine, might pick off 1 or 2 of these Lings, gets just 2 of them. The Zerg player wants to attack on in here. You got to be really careful, though. This is a very formidable Terran defensive spot. There's a planetary. A lot of AlphaStar's bio was actually out of position down here, but there is still a planetary. There's a ton of tanks on the high ground. Either way, the Zerg trying to break this base right now. SCVs are giving their lives, repairing that. It does fall, though. The Viper actually gets focused down by the Vikings. The Ultralists have pretty much all melted here, but still, it seems like it was a worthwhile attack from the Zerg. As we take a look here, that 5th base of AlphaStar died that it was trying to secure down there. Ultralists and Lings and Banes are actually getting cleaned on up, but still, the Zerg player on a solid 5 base economy going to be able to remax. The Zerg probably wants to throw up a 6 base pretty darn soon here. AlphaStar, though, did secure up another base here to the north, so it took an attack down there, but did secure a base up here to the north, so it's not like it's on a completely crippled economy. It's not a great one, though, but it's still standing a little bit here, and it has a very solid Liberator and Siege tank count still. So we really can't count out AlphaStar. The Planetary, the Marines, the Liberators, the tanks, showing that this base is on lock here. And then we take a look The Zerg player is getting up that 6 base. Ultra's on the way. Baneling's still on out. You gotta be careful if you're the Zerg, though. I mean, you got Ultras, Lings, and Banes, and it can be tempting to attack on in, but you still gotta be very careful. Oh my gosh, is he actually just gonna go for it? They mad lib. There is way too many Liberators and tanks to go for this attack, I feel. Yeah, I think this was an overcommitment. Banelings do roll on in, but everything is gonna be getting cleaned on up here, I believe. There's like one Ultra and a few Lings that are actually causing a bit of a ruckus still. But this attack will get cleaned on up, and that just goes to show that's a lesson for Zergs. You cannot attack on into Liberators and tanks like that. Banshee going to be picking off these Lings. Interestingly enough, the one Banshee, or a second Banshee on the way from AlphaStar. So the composition from the robot is really an interesting one. I gotta say, it's kind of refreshing to see this composition. It's like, it's the kind of thing you'd expect in like the campaign, AlphaStar. Like, oh yeah, Banshees are always good, when in reality, you don't make Banshees in most games past like the 10-minute mark or whatever. Whereas AlphaStar right now is just like, yeah, sure, I'll make, give me a Banshee, give me a Viking or two. Yeah, give me some of that. It's really cool to see the way it's going about playing this. AlphaStar, interestingly enough as well, does know to float over its command center. So it floated that command center over to keep its economy going. So it's still on this okay economy. The Zerg player has thrown away a lot of units, but is still going to be remaxing here. Getting up a few more Ultras, but keep in mind the Zerg did throw away a lot of resources in that attack, just attacking into all these Liberators. Now that the Zerg has Corruptors, I feel like he's in a much better spot here, as Corruptors, of course, can pick off those Liberators, but if he hadn't gone for that attack, he just made these Corruptors and he was going for the attack now, I feel like he'd be in a much better spot. Of course, that's not the way this is played out. AlphaStar is just turtling to the max. Let's be real here. This is a lot of Liberators, a lot of siege tanks, and I really don't mind it. From the AI, these are +3 siege tanks, so they really pack a wallop. They're okay at picking off Ultras. The Liberators are also there. There's Banshees out. Looks like they're going to be going for a bit of harassment here. Just 3 random Banshees without cloak, moving across the map now, going to try and get what they can done. This Zerg player right now has got to be like, what on earth is this guy doing right now? These Banshees are going to get given away. AlphaStar not really opting for the best harassment there, I feel, but still giving it the good old college try, dropping around with these Marines. Vikings are still on out here for AlphaStar, so more of those being produced. With the good upgrades for AlphaStar's units, I feel like the Vikings are going to do a much better job than usual contesting the Corruptors. Yeah, like this AI, I mean, it has just got up a lot of good upgrades. These are going to be +3 plating Liberators, +3 plating Vikings, +3 plating tanks. So they're going to be very, very strong units. Meanwhile, a Raven on the way as well. AlphaStar building up to a pretty strong composition. Of course, Zerg late game is generally considered the favorite in late game, in pretty much every late game matchup. I think it's fair to say that. So the Zerg player, as long as he builds up to the right army, you think he'd be in a good spot. But for now, he is just sticking on that Lingbane Hydra Ultra with some Corruptors in the mix, which can be a little bit volatile here. And we take a look. There's 18 Corruptors out, going up against 6 Vikings, so that is actually plenty for the Zerg to take this fight. I mean, there's more Vikings on the way, but these Liberators are going to start getting worked away on. Some of them are going to unsiege, they're going to retreat. Now, Vikings coming on in to help on out. It's going to be up to the Liberators, or to the Vikings, and all of these air units to take down the Corruptors, but I honestly don't think there's enough. Even if the Liberators help out in the fight, AlphaStar also thinks so. Going to be retreating, going to just be sacking this base. And now we take a look here. AlphaStar just backed up. He's like, right, that's it. I'm just going to back on up here. I'm just going to abandon that base while I try and secure this other base. But this is very unfortunate here for AlphaStar. It really seems to have an issue with clearing creep, with clearing invisible units. And so right now we're taking a look. It's got this base. It really needs to make... I hope it's going to scan to clean up these tumors so that the creep will dissipate. Okay, it's actually got a Raven, and it also scans. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a little derpy when it comes to addressing creep and invisible units. So it's good to see that it is just like, okay, priority number 1, get that CC landed, much like a human Starcraft 2 player would go for. For now, though, the way this game's going on, I mean, the Zerg player's economy is just getting better and better, building up a bank, even though macro hasn't been the Zerg's primary focus. The Terran player built up a good Viking count. Got Liberators, Vikings, Raven. Is the Raven going to use an anti-armor missile on these Corruptors? That is the question of the hour. So far, though, it looks like that the Terran is just having to retreat here. AlphaStar putting up the best fight that it can. Banshees, Vikings, and Liberators all in the sky working to do what they can, but they're really not taking these Corruptors head-on. Auto turrets have been dropped down. They do a fair bit of damage to the Corruptors, but it's not going to be enough. There's too much Zerg in the sky. These Ultras are going to be able to wreck this planetary fortress, and with the planetary, with all the air units going down, I'm pretty sure AlphaStar is toast here. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to GG, but yeah, there's no doubt in the world that AlphaStar has lost this game. It shows interesting promise with how it's going to be willing to play the game out. Like, yeah, I'll make some air units and I'll try and contest the Zerg in that manner. But just the actual composition and the actual investments that it made, probably not the best. I mean, the Marines are doing some wicked damage to the Corruptors. They're going to retreat to the siege tanks, so they're actually killing off like all the Corruptors. That's okay for the Terran, but we take a look at the supply, we look at the worker count, it's just not too good. This poor Ultra is going to run into all these tanks, but this Zerg is just going to be able to remax, and after that, I'm pretty sure you are just a dead Terran. There we go, 36 Banelings on the way here for the Zerg. If that's not I'm gonna A-move and kill the Terran army, then I don't know what is. We see the Terran down to 59 supply. AlphaStar having a real tough go at it. Yeah, I just don't know how well this is gonna work out for AlphaStar. Like, it's so dead, guys. This AI is dead, but it just doesn't know it. It's floating, it's surrendering. It's yielding its orbital command center to the Zerg player as it's now flying across the map. Maybe just for scouting or something. The tanks could get sieged up here in a pretty good spot on the high ground, but this is still so much Zerg. The Marines gonna try and kite back to the best of their ability, but Banelings just rolling. They're just having the time of their life, having a ball, gonna crash on into all the Marines. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, as we wait for AlphaStar to not GG, make sure to press that like button. As I said, we break 50 likes on this video, I will do another AI cast since you really enjoy them. And of course, well played to the GM Zerg. I mean, AlphaStar showing us some great games again. It's really cool to see how the AI approaches the matchup. But of course, if you are new to the channel and you made it all the way to the end of this video, I'm going to implore you to go ahead and subscribe. And of course, if you are an existing subscriber or you just subscribed, make sure to press that bell icon notification, as it allows you to get notified whenever I put up a new one of these commentaries. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.